Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to the TE Academy study season. Another session, the final session with Vasily Sumanov, discussing the token engineering value capturing fundamentals. We already had 3 sessions. You can still, in case you're following us via Twitter or YouTube, you can still get access to all the recordings to the 3 sessions that we already ran. For Vasily's track, go to tokenengineering.net, register, and you get full access to the learning materials and also the NFT submissions. People have to submit a homework and a graded homework, and then you might be eligible to mint an NFT proof of knowledge. And we'll discuss first submissions today in the session, so definitely stay tuned to see what this value capturing framework is all about and how to apply it to an own case. Before we dig into the case studies, I'd like to make you aware and share that we run an event with our friends at MetaGov, Open Source Observer, and HyperCerts, the future of crypto impact measurements. Many crypto protocols are investing hugely in their ecosystem development. The question is how to measure the impact of such investments, how to sustainably build up a network of value adds of those projects who are really relevant to a protocol. And this brings us to how can we quantify impact created in such a network. And we are working on topics like that. MetaGov is working on these topics. Open Source Observer will share some interesting metrics and how they apply it. And HyperCerts is a fundamental technology to make this happen. This all will be part of the conversation tomorrow, June 4th at 3 p.m. UTC, and use this QR code to register and be part of this conversation. All right, program of today with Vasily. We prepared and reserved time for you, for everyone who is planning to submit a case study. Let's go over them. Let's go over open questions. Vasily also will share work he has been doing on the EIGEN token case, super sophisticated and new case with a lot of new aspects to consider, and we'll discuss that. Again, you are also invited to come with your questions and case study, 90 minutes in total, so plenty of time to discuss. The deadline to submit your case study is Tuesday, June 4th, tomorrow at 4 p.m. UTC. And you'll receive information if you've passed and are eligible for an NFT on Friday this week, 4 p.m. UTC. Okay, so in case you have any questions on these logistics, just let us know, drop a note to the chat. And that's it on logistics. So I stop sharing and hand over to you, Vasily. Welcome back in the session. Welcome, everyone. Let's kick it off.
Yeah, Angela, thank you a lot for all this introduction of the process. Yeah, so I'm waiting for your thesis to be analyzed by me, starting from today and until the Friday, right? So, and you will get all the final results so far. So yeah, today is the last session and a little bit special session because I'm on a conference. So I need to make it from the cafe, but hopefully the sound will be good and yeah, you will hear everything well. If not, I will change my phones because I took a second one with not wireless, so it will work better for some sound noise decrement. If it will be necessary, just ping me in the chat that the sound is not good, and I will replace them. So yeah, I created some like description of EIGEN token just to provide some knowledge and some example on the thesis. Yeah, unfortunately, the EIGEN is very complicated, and if somebody took a look on the white paper, you can see that it is 43 pages of really condensed material. So it's not possible to crack it down really, very detailed into like one final thesis. If not work the whole week on this, I think so. But yeah, I tried to capture the maximum value from it and deliver it to you. So yeah, I will share it now. I think it will take maybe 10, 15 minutes maximum. And after that, we will focus only on the questions because I think this is the main topic and main part. Because for me, of course, your submissions are much more valuable than my example thesis because I can do it in any time, and your submissions have already tight deadlines so far. So yeah, let's get started.
Vasily, maybe just a second.
Yeah.
Maybe you can give us everyone in the call, maybe let us know if you have particular questions that we should discuss, just to have a picture of how much time we can spend on EIGEN and what else we have. So please raise your hand or drop a note in the chat if you have some particular questions you'd like to discuss when it comes to your own case study and your submission.
Yeah, Angel, I will try to do EIGEN really fast just to show a little bit. Yeah, and after that, so
maybe
like
we can spend even
maximum.
more. I don't know how many questions we have. So at the moment we have 0. So this would mean we don't need so much time to discuss submissions. But let us know, folks.
Yes, but anyway, I got some questions in Discord before, so I possibly can focus on that. So I already know some of them. It comes down to the BitTensor, it comes down to EthiHub, and maybe something else.
Okay.
So yeah.
Perfect. Good. Let's go.
So let's go with the EIGEN. Just give me 1 second. Yeah. So this is some description of EIGEN token. So yeah, I try to focus on the content, not on the like how to make a beautiful paper from it. Of course, because yeah, I didn't have too much time to to do it like as a final submission for some journal or something like that. So yeah, I focused on the content. Yeah. So I just want to ask anyone knows, at least in very general knowledge regarding the EIGEN layer. Did you read something, or I need to start from scratch? I mean, just from the layer 0, or you know something about that, guys? Could you share maybe some reactions in the chat? So I think the most important is that if somebody doesn't know anything at all about EIGEN layer, totally 0 information before. So yeah, could you just write something for me to know that I need to be more focused on the basics? Okay, let's start from scratch. Okay, yeah. So yeah, let's start from introduction section. Take the created. So yeah, the Earth-Shaking is some new crypto primitive that was created by EIGEN Lab, a company and EIGEN layer, and got a really significant traction. So there are now more than 18 billion TVL in Ethereum. So it is the second largest protocol on the market. Yeah. So and what it is, what you're staking is the main idea is that there is a Ethereum network and the consensus in Ethereum that already has a lot of stake in ETH that's securing the consensus using the consensus token value capturing mechanism. So basically, users, they stake Ethereum to the validator. This validator participates in the block production and testing new blocks. And if like the validator is selected to close the block, validator attests the block, and if the block is correct, it adds it to the chain, and other validators, they check out also this block that is good one, that is compliant to all the rules, and yeah, then block is produced, and the validator receives some network rewards from the consensus basically, and also some tips from the transactions paid. So, and yeah, you need to know that the majority of gas fees are burned due to EIP 1559. So the majority of value which is paid by the end users of the Ethereum is not going to miners, and the value of going to miners is issued by Ethereum network and also comes in the form of tips, and sometimes in the form of MIV, the miner started value, which is like a process not initially like proposed to be inside the consensus. It's outside of it. It comes down to the ability to get opportunity to add transactions into the block in a particular order and maybe make some front runs or liquidations and stuff. But we wouldn't tackle this question here. So, and one day the idea arises that okay, but what if we will use the Ethereum which is already staked in Ethereum consensus second time? So like use the something second time, right? And use this Ethereum for staking in some other protocols and securing these third-party protocols at the same time it's securing Ethereum being in consensus. So in like basically it looks like okay how it can be done because Ethereum is already in the validator. the contract, so it's not possible to be withdrawn from the contract, and this is true. But what if we will build a special framework around that and also use some staked Ethereum like derivatives like Lido or Rocket Pool or Frax, which are already liquid. So staked Ethereum or Rocket Pool ETH or Frax ETH represents Ethereum inside the validators. So it means that while Ethereum is invalidator, the end user owns a token, which is a right to claim this ETH from the validator. So it's already, you already can use this newly issued token, which is a pure representation. So it's like a just contains the representation value capture mechanism. It's a pure representation of Ethereum stake it in consensus. So, and you can stake it for some else, and if it will be slashed, then alienate it to some, inside purpose that in the future it can be redeemed, and yeah, you will get all the value which is now locked in the validator. So this liquid stake ETH provides an access to the ETH in the validator. So yeah, they created, yeah.
Can we maybe try out your other mic? Because some people noted they are struggling with the audio quality. Maybe it might be an improvement here. Thanks for the note.
Yep, now
this is better. Give us, Victor,
hopefully,
I hope it's better on your end. Oh, wow, much better. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, this is why you need to have a plan B all the time, right? So, yeah. So EIGEN created this idea that you can use the Ethereum second time and stake it for some other protocol and get some, fees from this protocol, at the same time receiving some rewards from the Ethereum consensus. So you use your ETH 2 times, you're receiving more cash flow, you're receiving more value from own ETH, at the same time securing a lot of new protocols with a valuable liquid token. So this was the idea. So how it works. So EIGEN offers cryptoeconomic security as a service. Yeah, so this is the second part, is the description in a nutshell how EIGEN works and what is the value there created. So and the logic of EIGEN includes two main processes. So the first process to collecting Ether from liquidity providers. So it can be native security, deposit your ETH from wallet to EIGEN and deposit to validator and using it without liquid representation for staking purposes, or you use basic liquid staking, Clarax, another one. So this is the first part of the point is now they collected a lot of ETH and now they need to deploy to AVSs. So AVS is active validated services. They're basically these third-party protocols that I'm referring to from the very beginning. So so you as a staker can select AVS that you will use your ETH to, or some other protocols. And of course, the majority of users don't want to do that. They don't know how to select AVSs, so they use some liquid staking protocols like Renza, like Kelp, DAO, EtherFi, and other ones. So, and these protocols also offer liquid positions. So if you deposited your stake ETH or native to these protocols, you will also get all these liquid derivatives on top of that, the basic from DeFi. So you will use it in other DeFi applications like DEX, liquidity provision, or collateral lending markets. So, and so finally, we have a set of AVSs, and we can dig into this set of AVSs easily. For example, there is a website. I mean, just to show some examples. This is a website of some protocols that are using Ethereum from EIGEN for building their cryptoeconomic security. It means that Ethereum is staked, and in case of some malicious behavior of validators of this other protocol, like Espresso, like Lagrange, like Altlayer, this ETH will be slashed and used for some purposes of compensation in case of losing funds or something else, right? So these are real protocols that are really using EIGEN now. So so as I mentioned before, it's important to mention that ETH can be slashed. So it means that it's not risk-free option. It means that there is some probability of slashing, as it can be in any kind of staking for a nodes and work token. So basically, what EIGEN did, they offered an opportunity to use Ethereum as a work token in some third-party protocols outside the Ethereum consensus, and receive double, cash flow on top of that. So basically, ETH is used as a work token. It was never a work token before, in my opinion. It was a consensus token, but now it's also can be used to as a work token. It's like a new use case for Ethereum, and the additional value comes from the fact that asset can be used several times, right? Like a fractional finance in like ordinary fiat systems. So, and this was one of the biggest ideas. However, we didn't discuss anything about the token. I mean, about the EIGEN native token yet, and this was the main topic. So, and why it is not included here, right? So, let's go to the token and let's understand why. Because I found out that this is the best approach to describe the concept in this, using these points and this structure. So the thing is that EIGEN so when EIGEN uses ETH, it secures faults from the objective tasks. Objective tasks is when you can easily prove on-chain is something true or something false. For example, if the block is produced correctly or not, or if some, I don't know, file storage network store files and posting hashes or not store files or not posting hashes. But when it comes down to something more complicated without like algorithmic proof, it becomes much more complex, and you cannot slash anything algorithmically. You need to have some decision makers. Finally, you need to have some human involvement in this, and this is something which is not objective false, but intersubjective false. So the thing is that EIGEN decide not only to offer cryptoeconomic security as a service for objective false, which are many of them, right? All the DP networks, all the oracles, or the data availability and stuff. So a lot of services and protocols that can be protected by ETH because they're totally objective functions. But sometimes functions are not so objective. They can be observed objectively. They can be easily judged, but they cannot be slashed algorithmically. So this was the problem that EIGEN also decided to solve at the same time. So they could stop on ETH part and do nothing after that. But they decided, okay, we can get a broader market. We can offer the similar service like we offer with restricted ETH, but for intersubjective tasks. So, and I will provide a couple of examples of intersubjective tasks. So that can be judged using EIGEN. So, for example, just give me one second. Yeah. So, for example, you have some Oracle network, but it doesn't have a traditional staking, and because it provides some, off-chain data from the not from on-chain world, but it has totally so it has an answer that is totally objective but not on-chain. For example, some outcome of the worldwide event which everybody can really check out easily, or something else like that. Or for example, censorship in Web3 is also a very good example of subjective tasks. Like, for example, somebody submitted a transaction to the mempool with a reasonable fee, but this transaction isn't included into the block for a very long time, for example, for 1,000 of blocks. It means that if this transaction was treated equally with other transactions in mempool, it statistically should be included into the block over 1,000 blocks easily, right? You can prove it probability theory that the probability is close to 1, but the fact that it wasn't added to the block means that validators decide not to add it on their own, right? But in Ethereum, for example, in consensus, there is no rule that can slash validator for not including transaction in a block. Validators decide on their own what they include or what they not. But all the external spectators can say, okay, this transaction was registered in mempool, 1,000 block passed. It has a reasonable gas price. It was even possibly higher than average gas price for this time, but it wasn't included. What means that validators decided not to include it on an arbitrary basis, right? So this is some intersubjective task that can be easily checked out by some human, because mempool is something off-chain, right? It's not on-chain data at all. It's just a mempool. But the external spectators can vote, okay, this is the effect of malicious behavior because the transaction wasn't included. So this is good example for intersubjective fault. There are some non-attributable force or subjective faults that are out of scope in EIGEN. For example, taste judges, or discuss what music is better, or something else. So this type of events that doesn't have any particular answer, different people, different agents can have different truth based on their personal opinion, and this is okay, right? It can be also politics or stuff. Somebody thinks that this is good, somebody thinks that this is bad. There are a lot of such examples. So yeah, what they decided to do, they decided to decide EIGEN as a universal word token for securing product from subjective false. As I said before, even in like pure technological systems, there can be some kind of malicious behavior. For example, censorship in block production. It possibly can be one of such behavior. Or for example, Oracle, it doesn't provide data. It doesn't provide incorrect data. It doesn't provide data at all for some time. It also can be intersubjective fault, for example. So yeah, they decided to provide such kind of cryptoeconomic security to these kind of tasks, and these kind of tasks they were never covered by any other protocol so far. And at the same time, this is a huge market that can be captured. So yeah, so finally, EIGEN is a word token, right? So let's dig into how it works. So for any intersubjective fault, there is two stages. First is agreement. So we need to agree on what is fault and what is not fault. For example, if we are talking about the censorship of the transaction mempool, we need to agree that, for example, gas price should be not less than average, and transaction should hasn't been included in the block for example, 1,000 blocks for some really long time, during which the transaction should be included if the process of transaction included in the blocks was fair. And second time, we need to just have a function for /validator if we decide that censorship took place. So, but how to do it in a universal way? So this was the biggest problem, and they referred to the Augur prediction market, which is well known. So Augur, they created something like EIGEN, but on a very little scope of things. So they created it only for prediction markets of information, and the idea was that for any kind of event, there can be two outcomes, and people stake for outcome one or outcome two, and so the total rep token has like two different varieties after the staking, rep one and rep two. And if everybody decides that the rep one is true and rep two is false, they start to swap one to another one, and finally the value of false option goes to zero, and everybody ends with the rep one. Of course, maybe with less and less amount because the swapping rate can be changed. But anyway, so this is like a pure decision by the market on the token. These two forks were right. So EIGEN did this on a universal basis. So they say, okay, you can do it multiple times, not for the whole token supply, but for, you can create a lot of such small markets and make decisions inside them regarding what is true and what is false. So it's called an isolated manner. So, and it works in a way so that users stake EIGEN in a special contract and receives B EIGEN. It's a backed EIGEN efficiently. And after that, a user can choose outcome one or outcome two. But anyway, all the EIGEN and B EIGEN that I discussed for a particular market can initially come from EIGEN staking. So there was one EIGEN token, original one, got deposited to the contract, everybody received B EIGEN, and the B EIGEN has two options, option one and option two. So, and they created this like a simple mechanism for redistributing value between two different options. So yeah, if so for the example that I prepared here, EIGEN 1 is false and EIGEN 2 is true. So there is a deflation per fork. This is the multiplication factor. So it means that, for example, if B EIGEN 2 is true and B EIGEN 1 is false, when the event outcome will be defined, there will be a redemption. So you will be able to redeem your B EIGEN 2 back to EIGEN, to the initial token that was deposited. But there will be a formula that will change the amount that you will get. So it means that if you deposited some amount, for example, like 100 tokens, and the factor was, for example, 0.8, it means that you will get 5x more tokens, right? So it will be your compensation, and it will be the loss of agents that decide for false option. The second variable here is a commitment per fork. So it's a minimal amount of EIGEN that should be committed to the this dispute to start dispute. So this is the minimal amount of tokens on risk that should be exposed to risk in case if there is a dispute. So just to make it available, because if some deposit one token which costs $1 and only $1 will secure some big fault, it's of course not reasonable. So it means that there should be some minimal amount that is economically reasonable, and economically reasonable is that the damage from the file should be less than the amount of tokens that can be slashed. Of course, this is the definition of what cryptographic security is, right? So yeah, let's go into the value capture analysis. So yeah, as I said before, it's very big concept with a lot of other stuff. I just pressed down, like extracted the very important points that provide the understanding how it really works and what is the value capturing. So first of all, EIGEN has a future cash flow because in case of redemption, user that selected the truthful option receives more EIGEN. So it means that if you are agent that owns EIGEN and participates in such disputes all the time, you will constantly and you vote for the true option. And as I said before, for the intersubjective fault is some type of dispute where what is true and what is false is really clear. So you don't need like to make some research or have some professional education for that. It's something easy, and it's all defined in pre-agreement rules of what intersubjective fault is, as I said before. So like staking EIGEN and voting for a like truthful option leads in receiving more EIGEN tokens based on this deflation per fork multiplication factor. Second, you have a risk exposure. You have risks when you're participating in disputes. And third, you need to perform a conditional action to vote and to make a decision, and maybe check out some metadata or some mempool data or something else. It depends on what the fault we're discussing. So you possibly need to do some more research than just clicking the button, because yeah, your tokens are on risks, and yeah, you need to possibly have more understanding of what you're voting for. So finally, the EIGEN is a work token with a novel VCA can be different tasks instead of single one. So you can use it for a particularly different task at different time, but at the one time you can use it like for two tasks like simultaneously. So I think possibly they will enable some delegation option. It is not stated in white paper. It's my idea. I think somebody should create such a protocol or a service on top of EIGEN layer that will allow some delegation. And yeah, and with such a service, passive users will be able to get possibly some some cash flow without directly participating, but still having the risk exposure, because anyway they will have risks that will be just delegated to decision making of this delegator. So yeah, so finally EIGEN is a work token with a novel VCIP. So the work token principles, they didn't change. This is the same: future cash flow, conditional action, risk exposure. And if we will make an analogy with node staking, it's I think almost the same. Node also makes decisions what to do, and yeah, if node decide to do a fault, for example, submit an incorrect block or don't store files in file sharing network, it is also fault, but it's objective fault, and this is intersubjective fault. So yeah, the evaluation approaches, I didn't find one yet, to be honest, because it significantly depends on the amount of disputes that token holder will participate in. So, but we can possibly make some model that there is 1,000 disputes over the year, or 100 disputes token holder participating in like that, and some of them are occurring at the same time. So token holder needs to choose which token holder will join. So yeah, and find out the number of disputes, find the average deflation per fork factor, because this is the main input for understanding how many tokens you will receive at the end if you're voting for only truthful options all the time. And since there's no any numbers for that yet, I don't know. So it can be just some prognostical model that if deflation per fork factor will be this, you will receive this amount of tokens at the end of the dispute, right? So nobody knows yet. But what is interesting, that the total circulating supply of EIGEN tokens and the valuation of this circulating supply that possibly can be used in these disputes is a total cryptocurrency security cap for intersubjective fault resolution on the market. So this is the interesting find that I made. Yeah. So this is a condensed version of my analysis of EIGEN. Of course, it should be enriched a little bit, maybe with more text and more links and some possibly beautiful infographics. Yeah, but this is like the main content. So all other content will be on top of that, and it wouldn't affect the core principles and idea that I shared here. Yeah, and also what I want to add, I want to add the interesting thing that I also understood while I made this research, that some protocols with objective faults, as I said before, the objective fault is something you can algorithmically prove, which like was the event of fault happen or not. Some of these protocols, they also sometimes have some additional intersubjective faults that also theoretically can happen. So for example, the rollup has objective fault of, I don't know, the scamming users with moving some tokens from breach without the real user's order or something like that. But at the same time, for example, the sequencers of a rollup can censor some transactions. And yeah, this is intersubjective fault that also could be secured by EIGEN So it means that according to the white paper, in some cases, they can provide cryptoeconomic security for a third-party network in Ethereum for objective faults and in EIGEN for intersubjective faults at the same time. Have a two tokens, there's like stake it for some particular protocol, enhancing its security. So it's also a case. And I think this is one of the reasons why EIGEN decided to do this token model, because it complements the original idea of Ethereum staking. Yeah, so I think this is all in very brief way. Sorry, Andrew, I cannot hear you.
Yeah, I'm just checking the chat. Guys, this was a super fast rundown of EIGEN. Any questions here or comments on the classification or on the new elements that are still a matter of exploration?
Yeah, Angela, to be honest, I think this is one of the most complex token models on the market so far, and most uncertain ones in terms of numbers. Because we don't have any statistics, it's just a white paper. The tokens wouldn't be transferable until September, so we are just discussing alpha, some really early stage thing. But the protocol has almost $20 billion of TVL and one of the most significant inventions over the last year. So I think it will be really interesting how this token will perform in terms of its practical utilization by users. In these disputes, I think we will have some examples of disputes and examples of outcomes and examples of what was the amount of cash flow for participants and stuff.
Yeah. Do you agree, everyone, or any other comments on the type of tokens we are seeing here? Okay, then I guess we can either move on with questions on your case studies, everyone, or we pick up questions you've received async on Discord.
Yep. Yeah, I think that possibly I can move to the BitTensor question. So is the team that submitted the BitTensor case on the call? I just want to know, understand, would it be the live chat or just my comments?
Who submitted the BitTensor, or who submitted the questions around the BitTensor case? Anyone in the call at the moment? Ark, would you like to switch on your mic and say some words? Maybe you can provide the introduction to BitTensor and what
please.
it is.
Sure. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Perfect. So yeah, we're Tiago and I are doing the thesis on BitTensor, and its native token is Tau. And so BitTensor is a platform much similar to Avalanche in the sense that it has these different subnets, so you can create your own ecosystems in terms of decentralized compute for these AI models. And so but it's also acts as a proof of work system where they're much like Bitcoin. There's like a $20 million supply, and then over time it gets emitted to miners and validators, who are basically figuring out the truthfulness of the responses to these different AI models that people are building. And so one of the issues we ran into was, is this classified as a consensus token or as a work token? Because it does show similarities in terms of the conditional action, governance piece, as well as the free cash flow. So this is something that we were wondering.
Yeah. So yeah, the Bitender is also a quite complicated project, but I think that it contains both so far. So I did some research on this topic before this call. So if we will dig a little bit into the Bitender, so what we have there, we have a lot of like incentivized models of artificial intelligence agents, right? That training by miners. So miners, what they do, they providing the GPU power to train all these agents because it requires GPU power, evidently. So, and they receive some Tau tokens as a reward. So it's a distribution mechanism. It doesn't affect value capturing. It's affect just a network. So token is used for three purposes, as I understood from the documentation. So correct me, maybe I'm wrong, but yeah. So first of all, users can pay in Tau for receiving answers from these trained AI models. So it means so it means that we can consider the Tau as some kind of API credits. So right, if you're using, for example, ChatGPT or some other networks like this, you paying per query, or you pay some subscription, but you have limited number of queries to the network, right? So, and since they pay per query, it means that it's a value transfer, first of all. But of course, we understand that possibly the value transfer is not the main value capturing mechanism here. So the second one is staking for these models. So it means that so the model is like a subnet, right? So and you need to stake for the subnets. So it's like a work token because you're securing some particular service that provides particular answers, right? It's a work token model because you have risk exposure because you're staking. You have a conditional action because you need to check out the answers and each other stakers, as I understand, and the future cash flow because you receive the part of these payments for querying these AI agents, right? So if the AI agents provide correct information all the time, users will use them, users will pay more, use them more, so you will get more cash flow. So it has a direct correlation there. If everything works well, you aren't slashed and you receive the cash flow. So, and at the same time, as I understand, they have a consensus regarding the overall network state of the Bitender network, because the separate network is, this is separate token is the Tau token on Ethereum is just a wrapped Tau, so it's just a derivative for Ethereum traders and liquid staking protocol that connects Ethereum holders of Rapid Tau and the network consensus. There is one Tau liquid staking protocol like Lido Finance for Tau, where you can stake your Tau, for example, on Ethereum or on the original Tau network and receive all this proceeds for staking. So yeah, as I understand it, contains consensus mechanism separately from the work token and separately from the value transfer. This is my understanding at this moment. Maybe you could add something on this point.
Yeah, so yeah, it does sound like there can be some overlap. I mean, this is allowed, I guess, and they can be more than one. And so as you said, it does act as well as an access token because there is that AI marketplace. One of the in terms of valuation, one of the things that we did is that we were using valuation comps, because I think in terms of difficulty in figuring out other types of valuation methods, such as discounted cash flows, or there's one used for mining proof of work. Can't seem to recall it off the top of my head, but is relative valuation or comp suitable for these types of projects, or how would you approach
And
that?
how this valuation works in a nutshell? Could you share?
Sure. So I mean, there is limited data on what we can get from BitTensor Tau token as well as its competitors, but we were comparing things such as the market cap and the fully diluted valuation of these different its peer group. So we picked 5 competitors that we thought were that resembled the closest to what BitTensor was doing in terms of its offering to the market. And we were comparing, let's say, ratios of market cap to FDV. And there's different ways to read these types of tables. You can have a disposition where if you think that, you know, if these metrics are going in the right direction, if it's a bullish reading, then sometimes people will think, well, things will continue. And sometimes people will think there'll be a reversion to the mean. So there is some subjectiveness in doing these types of readings for these comps tables. But in the case of market cap over FDV, the way that we read it is that if it's a low ratio, so we found that the Tau token had a 0.33 market cap to FDV. And the way that we read it is that there's still a lot of tokens to be emitted. And so that could be added sell pressure. And depending on how they handle this through their demand drivers and utility through these origins of value, then maybe they would be able to counteract this sell pressure. And so that's how we were comparing these different metrics with their competitors as well.
Just give me 1 second. I just sharing something in the Discord just to add some, more information regarding my comment about the work token and consensus. I think that using some competitors' valuations is a good approach in case if you don't have any other options. Why not? You need to have some correct preliminary assumptions. And as I said before, yeah, a lot of tokens are not issued yet, so it can change a lot. It can dilute the value of work token stakers and consensus stakers, because if there will be more Tau tokens, it doesn't mean that there will be more Tau users that will pay for this request for the AI, right? So if there will be not like 10 million tokens on the market, but 15 million tokens on the market, it wouldn't result in 1.5x increasing in the payments for the AI data, right? Because it's 2 separate processes, I think. So, and if all this newly issued Tau will be staked, it means that the amount of cash flow per one staked Tau will be less than before, right? Because the more Tau is staked, but at the same time, the number of users, the number of payments for the network service didn't grow significantly. Yeah, so I think that using these newly issued tokens as so it will not decrease the overall valuation, but it wouldn't linearly grow, right? So if you have 10 million tokens and $1, it doesn't mean that if there will be 15 million tokens, the network will be $50 million valued, I think so. Because the final value comes from the cash flow, right? I mean, if we're talking about this fundamental value in the network, the only source of value there for the token holders, I mean, not for the miners that can provide the financial resources, but for the token holder that staked for subnets or staked for the BitTensor blockchain comes only from the network utilization. So stakers for subnets, they receive value from particular payments for these subnets. So in Tau tokens, what means that also it will differ from subnet to subnet. For example, some subnet has some popular AI model for some video production, and a lot of users use it because video production is a possibly highly marginal market, and you can earn more if you're using AI. If you add some AI to your video production, so a lot of users will pay for this subnet, and some other subnet, for example, is used for some mathematics, and there are not many like users that want to pay for mathematical services. And the amount of payments in Tau tokens and the amount of value transferred through Tau token in this particular subnet will be much lower. It could happen, right? Because it's business. All subnets, they compete for users, and sometimes one subnet has more potential user base than another one, just based on the service that this subnet offer, I think. So it also will mean that the value for Tau holders will be fragmented from subnet to subnet, I think. And also talking about the validation for the general blockchain, validators, they receive fees for the transactions. If somebody paid for some subnet service, it also includes some transactional fee for the blockchain, right? And these fees go into miners. And for miners, I mean, for the validators stake tokens in the Bitether blockchain. So they will receive this value. And also there is a question: is there some, block reward in Bitether blockchain? Because I don't have this information at this moment. So, or not. But anyway, the future cash flow for subnet validators comes from end users that pay with Tau for these subnet services, and value in terms of cash flow for the Bitether blockchain validators, for the overall network state validators, comes from the transaction fees and possibly the block rewards.
Thank you.
Yeah, so this is what I understand from it. And I think that after that, to be honest, the valuation of Tau, if we are doing the even more deep understanding of it, but because what you provided is already, I think, really good for the graduation and for getting the NFT and stuff, it's really good. But I mean, if you want to understand even more, we need to have a valuation for particular subnets and understand, okay, what is the projected user base, what is the projected amount of payments, how much money will generate this AI agent in the future. And this is the question. And yeah, so this comes down, I think, to the valuation of particular business units of these subnets, because you need to know, okay, the video production AI, what are competitors, what the share of the market this decentralized AI can take over the centralized analytics, because there are a lot of other services developed by OpenAI, by Google, by some other big corporations. So okay, this Bitether subnet, what share of the market it will get, what amount of users it will get, what amount of payments it will get, and what amount of cash flow finally it will get for the Tau stakers. So but what I think they also should be how it's called, arbitration opportunities. So if one subnet provide a lot of paid services and another subnet lacks of users, it means that possibly some Tau tokens will migrate from one subnet to another one to get more value. So, and possibly the yield will be almost equal, because if you can easily restake your Tau from one subnet to another one, it looks like there will be some services or some users that will constantly monitor these yields and just move a share of the tokens, like automated strategy between these subnets, and trying to capture more and more economic value for the Tau. And also, what you missed, as I remember, there is also a governance, the overall governance, value capturing mechanism. So in this regard, the Bitether token will have value transfer. This is one. Second, it will have the governance 3 and 8. Second, it will have work token, value capture mechanism, and also it will have consensus. So yeah, it's complicated token, because it's what happens when the token is used for everything, because they possibly could make it in a way that, for example, the Tau will have a bridge to Ethereum or to any other rollup, for example, and bridge some USDT or DAI or USDC to the Bitether, pay all the services in the stable coin, and the Tau, for example, will be used only for governance and for work token and for consensus, and eliminate value transfer because it's not significant in value capturing anyway. So yeah, and it could be different, but yeah, they decided to do this design for some reasons. It's interesting why. Maybe because the Bitether is the separate blockchain, it's really easy from technical point of view to use Tau for all the payments. But maybe in the future, so it's just a brainstorming discussion of idea that they got during this discussion. So possibly in the future they will introduce some stable coin payment or make some even stablecoin protocol backed by Tau tokens or by staked Tau tokens, like make your DAO with staked Tau tokens or something like that, because I think that for users is possibly much more convenient to pay in stablecoins to have a cost prediction of usage of services. And since the AI is used by sometimes by older users that have some particular business model and particular budget for the cost, for them, I think the using of the stable coins could be much more preferable. So yeah, and yeah, this is just some ideas on value capturing of Tau. So
sounds good, Ark. Any other questions or comments here? Okay, good.
yeah, Angela, this problem of different mechanisms in one token comes down from the very complicated token structure with a lot of different purposes in one token. Is it good or not? We will see.
Right. I mean, having a token and even defining its utility does not guarantee that there is any demand or traction.
Yep.
All right. Are there any other questions you'd like to pick up from the conversations you had, async?
Yeah. So
Vasily?
yep. So just give me 1 second more. So I've just seen. Yeah. So there was a quiz platform. I don't know other some questions or not, but it looks a really good, well structured. So, but yeah, this is what is interesting. The quiz platform is the first work-based access. I mean, which is like well defined. So it's quite interesting. So I got a really interesting submission from the quiz platform. I don't know, is this? I think since all the submissions will be public, I think I can. But I think it's not reasonable to show the document that I got. So anyway, it will be final submission. So maybe it should be upgraded from the author before it will go public. So but yeah, it's very interesting because the token it's an access, but it's based on the conditional action work on some quiz participation. So it's something.
Can you reveal the name? Is it something that exists or is it a new design?
So for me, to be honest, it's totally new implementation. So I didn't saw this before. And yeah, work-based access. So for me, it was just a more like theoretical mechanism that I added to the table because it evidently should exist. Because when you have some access, sometimes you in some communities you will remain the access while you're contributing to the community, right? If you owning a token but you do nothing for months for the community, you will be eliminated from some maybe internal processes and chats, and you wouldn't get access to something that community provides only to active members. So this was evident like social mechanics, but I didn't saw some like some particular project that fully utilizes this idea. And it is not like, okay, we're in the chat and sharing some information. If you're not sharing information, we will kick you from the chat. Not like this simple example, but some real platform with a lot of services. So it was, for me, it's the first example of work-based access. So thank Zurich Shijok for submitting the case. And by the way, I'm really excited, Angela, because the students, they're picking really complicated cases like BitTensor. So if I will be a student, I probably will be afraid to go with BitTensor. But the more complicated the token is, the more curious is to dig into it and understand how it really works, because you understand that not all the people understand. I mean, only the minority of Web3 users understand how it works. So, and you will be one of them. So it's a good reward for understanding, because you can make some smart decisions after that. For example, when the I will just share the example. When the convex token was live, nobody understand what is this meta governance and why it's valuable, and the price was low, and only a few whales understand and mine these tokens, providing the curve tokens to the convex, to this yield aggregation platform that also was a like first meta governance on huge scale, I can say. And when the market understood how it works and why the bribes can provide a significant value to vote lock CVX holders. The token valuation grew a lot, and it attracted a lot of attention that it deserves from the day one. And the problem of attracting the attention was that nobody understood, because it was something new, and nobody understood why DeFi needs it and what is the value behind it. And if there was some good analysis of the context and really deep and delivered to audience, I think the market will understand its potential much earlier. So this is the example of when something is really cool but nobody understands how cool it is. And with EIGEN layer, it's the opposite situation. Everybody understood that EIGEN as a protocol and the concept as amount of TVL is super cool, but for the EIGEN token, nobody understands yet. I mean, I didn't find a real knowledge about that in Twitter. I tried to Google, of course, and to Twitter to find in Twitter what will be the value of EIGEN token, because all this intersubjective tasks, I think before EIGEN layer, very narrow audience thought about this intersubjective tasks, right? So nobody cares about that. And now they bring it to the light, to the attention, and now everybody cares. And it looks like possibly it will get a lot of traction, or maybe there wouldn't be so many number of these intersubjective tasks, and not many tokens from the total cap will really participate and really earn this cash flow. So we don't know, but yeah, we'll see, the market will judge, I think. Would it have real use cases or not?
Yeah. And also how this new primitive plays out generally in the context of EIGEN, and then in other cases where we have seen so many primitives emerge at some protocol and then being copied and applied to other protocols, sometimes even more successfully.
Yep. And I think that the value of this classification framework and the approach of thinking that I try to deliver in the course, and try to grow the attention to this first, like economic first thinking, as I say, what is the utility, how the value is captured, what you can do with the token. And one of the the most important building blocks is to be able to really dig into the documentation and separate these different utilities and different functions, because even for BitTensor, as we found, is not so evident to see that there's a work token part, the consensus part, the value transfer part, and even the governance part. And the next level of understanding of all of this is, like we discussed for BitTensor, start to think how it can evolve, how it could work, and what can be built in next. Because, for example, when the Ethereum, so the Ethereum proof of stake was discussed for years. I remember I saw the Vitalik presentation in 2016, and already the proof of stake was discussed a little bit, right? In 2017, Vitalik shared a lot that proof of stake will be soon. And it was delivered like a full merge in 2022, and the beacon chain in 2020. But from a real well understanding of how Ethereum staking works, the basic idea is we need to build something like Lido, right? To provide an access to a lot of Ethereum holders to stake without technical complexity, without making this conditional action or node running and stuff. Of course, from one point of view, we want as many solo stakers, independent validators in Ethereum as possible to disrupt the network, to show it is resilient to some attacks. Because if you have narrow number of validators stored in 3 data centers, for example, some networks like Solana that require very high performance hardware to be used as node running hardware, it limits the node running to maybe some particular devices and data centers. So I think that if you will see the Solana base, or like the map of the validators nodes, it probably will come down to several, like maybe 10, 20, I don't know, that, like, but a limited number of data centers, not thousands, not even hundreds, data centers where these nodes are stored, because it's very high performance hardware, right? In Ethereum, we want a lot of solo stakers, but at the same time, we want a lot of ETH to be staked, right? Because the number of total ETH staked measures is a direct metric of economic security, right? The more ETH staked, the more ETH you need to challenge these, existing stakers and to perform some malicious actions there. So you need to spend more money, you need to much more money to attack the consensus, then the network is much more secure if there are a lot of Ethereum staked. So, and service like liquid staking services like Lido, like Rocket Pool, like Frax, like other ones who approach this market, they eliminated the barrier for staking, because they understood that for a lot of Ethereum holders, this conditional action will be too painful to participate, right? They will just hold the Ethereum and do nothing. They eliminated this barrier, which leads to the staked Ethereum primitive, which provided a lot of new use cases in DeFi that you can own Ethereum that always appreciates the value from the consensus. At the same time, they bring a lot of new staked ETH to the consensus, so it boosted the cryptocurrency security of the network a lot. So yeah, but this idea and like building these protocols could arise from the clear understanding how Ethereum staking works, what are the problems for the ordinary users, and what you can solve. And for example, for Tao, as I said before, the idea that came to me during this conversation is that you need to build something, some service that will automatically distribute Tao to different subnets, trying to capture more value there. So it will provide more fair staking sizes for subnets that provide more, that generate more cash flow, that provide more answers to users from the AI, and that utilize it more. And this comes down from understanding of the token mechanics. So I just share it why this understanding is so important, because you can find new ideas what to build, or if there is some new service, you can if I'm owner of Tao token, I cannot just directly stake it for some subnet and forget. I can stake it for some service that relocates it and get more value and secure the network more, because the more is the demand for some AI model, it looks like the more Tao should be staked for validating this AI model to be sure that everything is working correctly, right? You need to more cryptographic security. The more users you have, the more value is processed there. So
Yeah,
just sharing my insights from this conversation.
Absolutely, it's super interesting to follow. I hope you can take some great learnings and inspiration from it as well. Everyone in the call, drop us additional questions if you like.
Yeah, guys, I'm happy to answer, because I'm learning also, because without your bit-tester thesis, I think I wouldn't dig into this difference between work token and consensus and get all these ideas. So thank you. You contributed to my knowledge a lot this session.
Great. Give and get, I'd say. Anything else you'd like to discuss?
Yeah.
Are you guys all clear about the case you'd like to pick for your submission? Have you decided yet? I don't know, CJ, JD, Mate, Rumi. CJ, would you share with us what you have in mind?
You ask me or the students? Sorry.
Oh, I asked
lost.
CJ, but obviously
Okay.
he's not really confident. Okay, did you receive any other questions, Vasily, at this
yeah, I got some about the Ethic Hub. About the Ethic Hub, it's not like the questions, it's more like sharing information with me. So but for Ethic Hub, it's quite clear. It's also complicated. It's also complex token because it's used for staking for loans. It's used for some discounts if some shops offer them for the Ethic token. It also has some governance, and it also has some value transfer. So, and the future cash flow based on the staking. So, and I think so. The governance mechanism is separate. This staking, it's something like a safety model where you stake and receive cash flow without doing conditional action, but being exposed to risk. So it's the second value capturing mechanism. So the governance 3 and 8 is one. The 2 and 7, so future cash flow and risk exposure is the second value capturing mechanism there, as I understand. So the third one is discount token. So you can pay with discounts with ethics, consider your discounts as a cash flow. And the value transfer is the fourth. So it's a token that also has a mix of different mechanisms inside. But I think that the staking with cash flow is, of course, the main contributor to the overall token's value, because I think the governance is not significantly valuable. Value transfer as well, because the number of and size of overall processed value is not so big. So yeah, and discount token as well, I think it also has a limited usage, to be honest. So I think this staking as the culture for loans, receiving some cash flow from the the interest rate of these loans. Securing, the loan is the main value contributor to the value capture of the token. If you have 4 mechanisms, it's also complicated. So if you will see the past in DeFi, in crypto, in general Web3 landscape, the tokens were quite simple, right? There was no complicated token models. I think that in 2017, the most complicated token model that was on the market, there were 2 of them. There was Augur with this, work token for prediction market outcomes, and the second one was MakerDAO with governance and indirect dividends in form of this, burning. So these were the 2 most complicated token models. I mean, most rich in some different value capturing mechanisms. And now, we see that even, Coffee project has 4 value capturing mechanisms. So I don't understand how could we understand and decompose this token model to something more simple without the value capturing mechanism and origins of value concept. So this is also a good example of why we need to apply the value capturing mechanism idea to token description. Because things, the more complicated the things, the simpler we need to do them to understand. So it's comes down to the decomposition and separation of origins of value capturing mechanisms, and understanding how they work and what value they particularly provide to the token holders. So this, I think, is possibly the conclusion for the course, right? Because what we end with, so we started with some trivial mechanisms, with origins of value discussion, and we ended with the fact that token models are more and more complex, and even the simple projects have complicated token models. So, and our mission, at least mine, will be to promote this more, to this concept, to providing good token analysis. And what I also want to make a simple announcement at the end of the session now. So what I plan to do, I plan to buy some domain. I'm almost bought it already, and make something like a wiki, like a simple wiki for tokens, where there will be the table that you can click, each mechanism you can click on it and see the description and see the examples and see the different implementations, valuations and stuff, and all the content. So if you want to learn about the tokens with dividends, you can click it and see all the tokens with dividends, how they work, links to the Dune and stuff. If you want to explore the work tokens, if you want to just explore some like access, work-based access, for example, as this quiz guild case, you can just click and see. And I hope to make it crowdsourced and to submit some information not only by me. When it will be enough information, hope that we will ask for the person who provided the AI course for token engineering, and his AI will magically do the job and provide even more, explanations for newly issued tokens without human involvement, because the industry grows, the number of tokens grows, and not all of them could be covered by the human labor. At least you need to read a lot of docs, right? A lot of information sources to get understanding, and hopefully AI can automate that and make it less laborious for us as token engineers to get an understanding how something works, really. So this will be like my next step into all of this. So, and if someone
keep us posted and let us know if there are ways to contribute for the community. Because, I mean, for example, the LLM aspect is certainly super interesting in a nice application case, because the information needed and to be provided is well structured already using the classification framework. So that's quite an interesting case.
Yep.
Victor raised his hand, sorry.
Please, Victor.
Yeah. No, I was just trying to make a more general comment, because I really principally like the origin of values and how defined and the value capturing mechanism. But when you go through this exercise, particularly analyzing a project over a long period of time, then I don't know if I could suggest something. What I would be missing is kind of like a value sink mechanism or something that over time might somehow, maybe it's not the right way to articulate it, but take value out of the equation, like somehow, because things change, like new technologies pop up, or something that eventually has been developed in a certain way was completely different at the beginning, as and it might have certain very important reasons, like creating trust, or somehow creating the infrastructure, or but then at some point when something is robust, the incentives might change, or the actual structure for some reason. And so if this is not modified, then this is somehow an inefficiency. And that's what I refer to as somehow like a value sink, because eventually there's value lost, right? And so I was just kind of like I was fighting a little bit with this, because I think sink is never really a nice word, because it's kind of implying something negative, but I don't mean it in that way. I mean it in somehow like maybe highlighting something that is kind of a dark part of the equation, like basically a number as well that should be integrated to the mechanism itself.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, it's a good idea. So it originates from the fact that in Web3, I think why we all love crypto and Web3 in general, because it's not like very slow traditional institutions, right? So Web3 landscape evolves really fast. It's super fast market, and like tokenized systems should adapt to this market. For example, if we will discuss about the upgrades of the tokenomics and token functions, we can see it even in major protocols like Ethereum. I think you could remember the time when the EIP 1559 wasn't implemented. So, and when it was implemented, it significantly changed the value capturing abilities of Ethereum, because it received like a additional indirect dividend flow. I mean, so-called indirect dividend flow. Of course, it's not a dividends in pure form. It's just a like napkin definition. It's not legal, or it's not like this. But the idea that not all gas fees are paid to miners, but some of them are burned, and significant share is burned, and finally the network supply became deflationary, and this deflation is determined by the like utilization of the network on the amount of transactions and the gas paid for the transactions, was really a game changer for Ethereum value capturing, and they adapted. I think due to various reasons, but the main reason was that there are so many new networks on the market with much higher APR on staking from one point of view, and like low valuation on another point of view. So it means that because if you're a token holder, you can sell one token by another one, right? You can exit one community and enter another one. So nobody is linked to something in case if it is not V economics, of course, and you lock your tokens for 4 years. In this case, unfortunately, you are. But yeah, so and this I think was the tool, besides other technical reasons and other stuff, because there was a lot of reasons to do this. But one of the economical reasons was to make Ethereum more competitive as a asset that appreciates in value over time and over the network growth and utilization. And it's purely attributed Ethereum with new economic, with new value flow to it, like I can say, right? So, and even it doesn't significantly change the classification of Ethereum, because it's still, so at that time there was no merge, right? It was implemented before the merge, so at that time the main Ethereum chain was still the proof of work chain. But yeah, when it became a proof of stake, this indirect dividends or this deflation factor was just an addition to the cash flow that Ethereum validators receive to the validator, right? Because if you're using Ethereum as a value transfer unit to pay the validators and pay the network for the transactions, you burn the significant share of this Ethereum all the time, right? But if you are the validator, you receive a direct cash flow with the tips, MIV, and the consensus rewards. And at the same time, you also receive the indirect cash flow from the deflation, because while you stake it in the validator, you don't spend your ETH, you just grow the number of ETH, and at the same time, additionally grow your share of your ETH stake in the network because of deflation. So it didn't change Ether classification according to my classification framework, but it significantly enhanced its economic, future, I can say, and value capturing ability, because this value capturing was enhanced with this indirect grow in the share in the network. So, and this is, I think, the biggest example of tokenomics upgrade so far. So there were a lot of other ones and less significant protocols, but yeah, Ethereum is a really good case for sharing. And yeah, also this success is confirmed that a lot of other chains, like as I know, the BNB chain, for example, they also utilize it and apply this EIGEN 1559 because they often copy something from Ethereum. So it was no doubt that they will copy a successful, successful feature from Ethereum. So they also implemented EIGEN 1559 in BNB chain and also added this, additional possible deflation to the BNB token as well. So yeah, this is a good example of how protocols adapt to the changing environment. And talking about the sync of the value sync, so I think that if you're talking about the competition, so if there's one protocol and some other team launched another protocol that competes with the first one because provides similar services like EIGEN layer, that EIGEN layer is is being released, so it's not fully released, the original EIGEN layer, but it slowly but surely adding the enabling function that designed for it. But at the same time, the second EIGEN layer, the new one, the brand new EIGEN layer called Symbiotic, is also going to the market soon. So in some foreseeable future, so there will be two EIGEN layers, and you'll see the competition of it, and possibly one of them will change the some features of the token model or the operational logic of the protocol to compete to have a better competition with another one. Because as far as I know, the token there is no information for the token of the second EIGEN layer, so the Symbiotic EIGEN layer. So maybe they will introduce some new mechanics trying to compete the original EIGEN layer. So let's see. And I presented this example to cover this value sync idea that if there is only one EIGEN layer on the market, okay, all this crypto security will be processed through the original EIGEN layer. But if there is a second one, it can get a share of the liquidity providers, the share of protocols that want to pay for cryptoeconomic security and capture some share of this market and took this value from EIGEN layer. So EIGEN layer will need to think how to respond, how to possibly bring it back, or at least prevent this value from sinking from the original EIGEN layer. Yeah. So this, I think, is possibly the answer to your question, coming from your idea.
Victor, I hope this is sufficient.
Yeah, thanks. Very comprehensive answer.
Mate, you raised your hand. What's the question?
Hello. Thanks, Vasily, for this session. I just sent you some questions about my case, and I just want to discuss this because I started with picking a project that I really like, and then I saw that they have some tokens, but they are non-transferable NFTs. So I just wanted to get a basic, just a validation if this could be evaluated with your model or not.
Oh yeah, of course it could be, because even if you cannot transfer a token, but you can, for example, stake it, or you can just own it on a wallet and receive some utility functions from it, for example, access, or for example, the right to do something and receive some cash flow, or the right for voting. So if token is not transferable, it still remains all the utility that it could provide for you, besides that you cannot sell it now. So why not?
Okay.
Yeah, but
That sounds good.
I just hope that this NFT is something beyond hedonic value. So it's not just an NFT art without any utility or purpose that you just own, and that's it. Hopefully it has something that you can describe as a value capturing mechanism there.
So I want to do my thesis on Guild XYZ. So it's like a cross-platform community. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that this thesis that I already commented that this is quite good one. So you provided a lot of information. So if you wouldn't mind, I could share possibly some screenshot to the Discord just to inspire other students that what you did. I mean, if you're okay with that at this point. I mean, just not a whole paper, but
yes. Yeah, sure. I started to work on a different document to do the thesis. So this is just a basic introduction to the project that I sent you. And I started to work on a different thing that I thought maybe I could propose like a new token that Guild could use, but if it's good to just evaluate the non-transferable NFTs, then I think I'll just do that.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I didn't validate the the work you provided. I mean, I didn't deeply checked everything, but I just saw it and see that this is very that this is very good and detailed explanation with the infographics, with all the structures of origins of value, how they are interconnected and into the mechanisms. So interesting. Yeah, this was really good. Thank you for taking so much time and contributing with so much knowledge in this paper, because of course you possibly could write less and spend less time on it, but you decided to do the hard work and to really get a lot of experience, because I hope you learn a lot while you has been doing this.
Are you sure you talk about my homework?
Yeah. Yes. So I share this in Discord, so other students, I hope you will be inspired, because this is not only one of it, not only one infographics. There is maybe 4 or 5 of them describing different, because this is a project with several tokens and the several tokens being observed there. So yeah, thank you for this amount of work that you committed to this. I'm really happy that you dig into the the material that I provided on the course and try to do it in a a really deep way. Thank you a lot.
Well, this isn't mine, but okay.
Check out the materials Vasily shared just now on Discord. It's definitely, obviously, something you can take as guidance how a thesis can be shaped and the details expected.
Yes, in particular, a screenshot that I shared, I'm not sure that the dividends exist, because I think it comes down to the protocol fees mechanism 238, because the protocol fees are, as I understand, yeah, but anyway, to judge is this all correct from my point of view, I need to dig deeply into the platform and understand really how it works, because I don't want to share any like conclusions without being sure that I understand it entirely, because it's a really big material. I need to read it in a separate time.
Okay, so but format-wise, maybe I don't know if it's okay. So if you are in the call, the person who is author of this document, let us know if it's okay to share the link as well, so that people can start exploring. Okay. Good. I think we covered a lot of cases and details. Thank you so much for providing comments, and also thank you everyone for already submitting case studies or just sharing with us so that we can discuss it. I'm now keen to receive all submissions. Again, the deadline is tomorrow. Let me just check the time again. Oops. Deadline to submit is tomorrow, June 4th at 4 p.m. UTC. So you still have some time to refine it. And I'm sure Vasily will take a close look at it and we'll share
Of course, yeah.
who has passed by this Friday, and vice versa. Vasily, please keep us posted on your next steps with the token classification framework. We'll make sure to share it with the community, and I'm sure our community is excited to follow this work and yeah, why not contribute to the work, because of course there's so much to explore and analyze and let's say so much work to be done for the benefits of the whole ecosystem.
Yes, and particularly you can benefit the ecosystem, and you can also significantly enrich your own knowledge of the token landscape and make possibly the better decisions in picking tokens or creating tokens for your own projects or for the projects of your friend. And if you want to become a successful token engineer, one day you will need to create some tokens for some projects. And yeah, having a good knowledge of what other, how other tokens work in, for example, your particular sector, and what you can do and what possibly mechanisms you can implement, it will be super valuable for you. So yeah, for me, it's very important to help people to become a practical token engineers, because I personally decided some number of tokens already, and some of them Angel knows. So hopefully I will also share some insights in the future of what I designed and why, and how it works particularly, and why such decisions were made as other decisions were declined, for example. And yeah, the good piece of news is that some of those protocols, they're operating on chain already live. So yeah, we can really have some insights from the practical side of things. So yeah, my best wishes to everyone is to learn more, work, and become a successful token engineer, because I think this is one of the possibly best non-purely technical roles in research space. So you can capture a lot of value, make a lot of cool work, and finally see how what you've done works on chain with a lot of TVL or a lot of users. And this, I think, is a very good reward for that, along with others. So yeah.
Great. Thanks for this, Vasily, and thanks everyone. JD will check the Discord. On my end, it's visible. Happy to DM. And to all others, thank you for joining these 4 sessions. I hope I'll see you all at EFCC and, of course, on our Discord. Let's stay in touch.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for coming. So I'm waiting for your thesis. So the best thing that you can do is submit your thesis in the best way. So I will also check the Discord this evening, and maybe tomorrow during the day, if you have some last minute questions for me, I will try to answer them also to help you deliver the best, the best result possible. So let's keep in touch in Discord. Thanks, Angela, for organizing the whole T study season. And I'm happy to be part of it and having the chance to share the knowledge, and you organize it in the best way. So I'm, as a token engineer and a person who's not so well organized as token engineering community leaders like you, got a chance to share it all in a structured way. And yeah, thank you a lot for this opportunity that I got. So,
thank you, Vasily. Glad you enjoyed it. And thank you, everyone. Talk soon. See you in Discord.
Yeah, talk soon. Bye.
Thanks so much.
The recording has stopped.